Good morning, everyone. We are having this Q1 report interview with the ITAB management team. Together today, we have with us Andréas Elgaard, Ulrika Bergmo-Sköld, and Mats Karlqvist. First of all, congratulations to the Q1 results, which I think were solid and a very good performance. I'll get back to that. The most important thing to my mind is that you are at the crossroads of many high-level trends, as I see it. We have a return to normal after COVID, e-commerce versus live shopping, at the same time as we have a consumer economy with high inflation, and in Europe, this is actually leading to falling real wages. On the other hand, we have other factors such as energy prices, which is driving investments into lighting and other energy-saving measures. Over now to my question. How are your retail customers acting here and now, as well for the near-term future when it comes to ordering equipment, given that we have all these factors moving around?
I mean, it's a big question that you're asking. So, so if you allow, I will try to kind of also zoom out a little bit. I think that, there are many, as you say, there are many. It's a bit of a maybe used word to say that we're at a crossroads, but I think that is kind of the nature that we have been in for quite some time, and I would say our customers more so. It's all driven by changing consumer behavior, and this changing consumer behavior puts new questions and new challenges to retailers that they need to address in order to stay relevant. And I think that is the underlying kind of dynamics that we are seeing, and that consumers, they expect to be seen as individuals, they expect to be guided, they expect experiences to either be very smooth and quick and effortless, or to be very engaging and inspiring and rewarding. And the problem for many retailers is that it's the same consumers that want quick experiences, that sometimes then when they're in a different mindset or mood, that they want a more engaging experience where there's time to dwell. So this is the challenge that many retailers have. And that puts a pressure because they need to invest, they need to reinvent themselves. We have seen this from many retailers across the spectrum, especially within the fashion segment. I would say that many retailers are reinventing themselves. So that's kind of one trend. So the cost of operating stores are going up. The need to invest is going up. And of course, then retailers are finding themselves squeezed. And I think that is where we are trying to support retailers to find ways to enhance the consumer experience and at the same time reduce their operational cost. And sometimes when we talk about how ITAB influence our customers, we say that today we mainly influence two things. One, we influence how well a brand can execute their desired consumer journey or brand experience in their physical environment. The other thing we affect is efficiency in the stores. So store operations, how efficient can they be? And ideally, you want to combine these two. Then for many, many years, we've heard about multi-channel, omni-channel. We've heard about data across all channels and experience that goes over channels in a seamless way. We have not seen a lot of good examples of this, but many retailers are really investing in trying to achieve this. And that's why we say that in the future, ITAB will influence a third area. So the consumer journey, as today, will be there. Store operations, as today, will be there. But what we also believe in the future will be the whole value chain, the efficiency in the value chain of our retailers and their suppliers. So data will be harvested from the physical environment. It will be merged with data from online environment, and it will be leveraged, not just in the store and in the consumer experience, but also in driving cost out and value across the supply chain. So this is the third area that we believe we will influence in the future. So I know, Örjan, that I give a a big answer to your question. But if you then zoom down into our retailers, I would say that the grocery retailers, regardless of what's going on in the world, we still need to eat. And if your purchasing power is going down, usually the need for comfort food or for spending more time at home with friends and family influences in a positive way. It's not the same effect on grocery retailer as you have maybe on more consumer or seldom purchase or capital expenditure consumerism. So that's and since groceries is our biggest sector in ITAB, we think that is going to be somewhat unaffected. At the same time, everybody is affected by inflation, also grocery retailers. So available cash for investments, etc., is being challenged. So far it's too early to say what this will lead to. We can see that some grocery retailers are continuing like before. Some are starting to maybe consider how much they will invest, if they're going to invest more or if they're going to stick to the numbers they have committed to, and that means they can do less because inflation is going up. So that's kind of on the grocery sector, it's more calm. I would say also on do-it-yourself has similar tendencies as grocery, that the stay-at-home trend is, even if the pandemic is not entirely behind us, but people investing in their homes, that's a trend that doesn't rub off easily because it is a bit contagious. You see what your friends have done, you want to do the same. So do-it-yourself and grocery are quite stable in this matter. Of course, interest rates will probably affect do-it-yourself a little bit more, but not in a very significant way if you talk about the longer term. When you talk about fashion, I think fashion is coming back in many places. The post-pandemic situation is good for physical fashion. The pandemic was not good at all for the physical fashion. So that's kind of answering a little bit the trends. Then the war is changing, I think, a lot. It creates a lot of uncertainty. It's fueling the inflation and fueling the uncertainty in the marketplace. So I think it's very difficult to say what this will lead to, but of course it's fueling inflation.
I understand. I tried to find some data, and I could see that Ahold, for example, in the annual report said that they were actually going to increase investments, but maybe that was written in a different environment, and also that the food retailers have been struggling a little bit in Europe with I saw Carrefour's Q1 result, for example. They had a very, I think, thin or even non-existing like-for-like sales. So it's highlighting what you're saying there, that is a bit of a challenging for the food retailers. On the other hand, that should be stable. The Q1 results were very solid to my mind. What are you most proud of, and what challenges did you meet?
I would say that if we go back to how we ended 2021, we were we picked up good pace, and we had a good strong finish, and I would say that continued into the first quarter. So that has been really good. We truly felt that we were a little bit better managing the shortages on components and materials. We were starting to catch up with price increases to kind of counter the material costs that have gone up, the transport costs that have gone up. So I would say that's how the quarter started. That a lot of positive things were kind of paying off. So we were kind of catching up the wave. It's always like that when costs are going up, it takes some time to catch up. Even if you try to be proactive, you don't get price increases unless you can kind of prove that you can defend it in a good way. So that I would say is how the quarter started. Then I would say that we, like the rest of the world were taken by surprise by the very quickly increase of energy costs. And of course, that affects everything. I think as consumers, we have experienced that, and as business, everybody has experienced that as well. So the quarter, without the start of the war in Ukraine, the quarter would have been clearly even better, of course, and there would be less uncertainty also about the coming period. So we also feel that the quarter was in line with last year, which was a good quarter one, and it was almost as good as all-time high for a quarter one in ITAB. So that being said, those things we are proud of, but it comes from a lot of hard work from our teams around ITAB. So the things to maybe be a little bit concerned about is, of course, that we are still seeing these disruptions in semiconductor supply. We're still seeing transport disturbances. Of course, a lot of sea freights have been transferred to train freights to Europe from Asia. Also, we were affected by this when the war hit, that we had to move from train back to sea. So there's a lot of work that is going on behind the scenes. We are struggling like everybody else with our activities in China because of the lockdown, and we have activity in Shenzhen and in Suzhou, and it has been problematic, to say the least, to operate in China. Especially the last 6 months have been very problematic with electricity shortage and lockdowns and so on. So those things are, of course, there for us to improve. The inflation, I think, is putting new challenges to us, because in 2021 we had to deal with sharp increases in critical materials like steel and some plastics, etc., and the components, of course, in transports. Right now, it's everything that is going up, and the pressure is on, and we are looking forward to having this kind of catch-up game that will go on for probably quite some time with our customers. So it's we would like to see that the post-pandemic was returning to normal, but somebody had a different point of view there.
Yeah, it seems like the world is adding challenges to the burden wherever we look. But again, a good explanation. I think to me it was a solid performance, and that brings to the next question. One ITAB, my assumption is that we're starting to see some positive signs of this already now, but you were now quite close to finalize the program. Not really there yet, but we're getting into that position quite soon. Which activities are you working with right now when it comes to One ITAB? And which challenges do you meet, and can you share the picture you see when you're through this program? So it was kind of 3 questions in one.
Yeah, I would say that One ITAB is a couple of things. It's and of course, since we have taken quite a lot of restructuring costs and we are re-engineering our cost structure. Of course, for many, they think that that's One ITAB, but it's actually not. That's the re-engineering of our cost structure part, and that is to stabilize our finances and our profitability and our ability to invest in the future. And that part have been consisting of 3 main elements to reduce our cost level. One has been reduction of fixed costs through capacity adjustments. One has been starting to work in a more structured way with our sourcing, our group sourcing. And the third has been a clear reduction of our SG&A. And we've been working with all these 3 in a good way. Of course, the sourcing part is difficult because of what has been going on in the material market with the increase and shortages and so on. But when it comes to the things that people are maybe thinking about in your question about restructuring costs, we have taken we have closed and moved and adjusted the size of a number of our production facilities and our warehouse capacities. So that has been done. We have very few of these things left. We have added also from the beginning. Due to COVID, we had to expand the size of our efforts. So we are right now executing in France the last steps, but after that we don't have any more restructuring of that size planned. What we have now is more the next phase of the One ITAB plan that is about building and investing. So we have already started to change our go-to-market model. We have developed our value proposition and clarified that. We started working with that already more than a year ago. So that is step by step taking us towards becoming a solution provider. And that is what One ITAB is all about. It's to transform this company from I would say a group of individual companies in the same industry doing their own thing into a group that is in concert are supporting retailers mainly in Europe with their transformation in the retail landscape. So we are building new capabilities to become the leading solution provider. So right now we are focused on investing in a joint operating model supported by shared information, shared IT tools. So we're working quite hard with that. So we are going to invest in those things, but we are not executing more factory closures or move of production. So that we have done. We might have some small things that we will do, but that will be more in the normal line of business that we continuously adjust. So I think that's a strong message to send also to the market, that we have successfully done what we said we should do. And of course, we have taken a lot of cost out. At the same time, we need to remember that the market has changed in a way that the market is no longer the same as it was in 2019 when we set out our plan and what that is our baseline. So we would still like to see coming back to normality, because then we will have the full effect. And when we can catch up the inflation wave and the cost increase waves, I think we will see much more of this effect.
It sounds like good news also ahead. The acquisition of Cefla in food retail or in food retail in investments has increased your presence in Southern Europe. Do you feel that you're taking market share now by introducing other ITAB products? And overall, how do you think that acquisition is performing relative to plan?
I would say so far the acquisition of Cefla Retail Solutions have been a success, both internally in terms of how well we have integrated into mainly our Southern European activity, but also a little bit in the Middle East. So that has been really, really good. The factory that is in Imola has become part of our organization. We're still keeping the Cefla part a little bit separated on the marketplace, but we are really learning from each other. So it's not a one-way street. We have started to see an increase and increased conversion and sales of also other ITAB products that they did not have access to before. So that is really good. And then I just want to highlight that maybe that disappeared in all the kind of noise from what is going on in Ukraine. But by end of February, we announced that we bought a company in Finland that has activity across the Nordic region and a little bit into the Baltics, that is called Checkmark, that are doing the same things as ITAB is already doing. So it's about checkout solutions, self-checkouts, gates, and they have been a complement and a good competitor to ITAB in the marketplace, and now they are becoming part of the ITAB group.
Okay, excellent. I was about to ask that, but it's good That's all right. It's good that you raised it. Do you think that the products that these companies having, do you think that you could spread that over to other parts of Europe, for example? Is the technology that strong, or is it more an acquisition that will serve the local Nordic market?
I would say primarily the Nordic market, but I think there could be some potential. So that is what we have to find out. We need to get to know our new colleagues and friends in Checkmark, and then we need to set and communicate a plan in how we go forward. But overall, I would say it's a slightly different type of acquisition compared to Chefla. This is kind of at the heart of what we want to be known for. So retail technology, especially in the grocery and do-it-yourself sector. So we think that is good for our market position. We have not acquired some unique technology, but we have acquired we have strengthened our position. That is what it is, and it was a natural point in time for us to acquire them as well. So there was a timing related to this that was positive.
That's good. I think it's interesting that you're now have entered the acquisition trail, because there is definitely potential to consolidate the market. Do you agree on that?
Absolutely, and I think that is the third step of the One ITAB strategy, to stabilize the business, to build new capabilities that are more scalable. And then the third step is called expand, and that is to expand then on a scalable base. And I think then we need to be much more diligent in which companies we acquire, and we want to acquire the ones that are supporting the core of our business and the core of our ambition to become a solution provider. So the idea is to do a mix of organic growth and growth through acquisitions, but it could also be partnerships. So we are working actively on that field, but we are being quite I don't know how to say that in English, but we're being quite picky in what we are looking for. So it's not volume or quantity. We're looking for specific things to accelerate our own capabilities.
I would summarize that as you are disciplined in your approach. It's not.
That's a good word.
Yeah, it's not growth per se. It should be growth that really adds value.
Yeah, and we are also being wary about that we have been successfully reduced our debt, even though we have consumed more capital during 21 and also in the beginning here. I mean, but we have to remember that a lot of capital was released when everything stopped up during 2020, and we have to rebuild. And now I would say the inflation is fueling the need. But we're confident that we are playing catch up, and that we'll be able to get back to positive cash flow.
That sounds like an excellent ending to this interview. I thank you all very much, and wish you all the luck for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.